So our next two speakers, we got two panel talks, two speakers left. Well, next one's going to be about a circular economy and the framework of cradle to cradle. And we got someone quite awesome who's going to be joining us. If you would like to turn on the screen, it'd be awesome. Hi, thank you.
Hi, hello everyone.
Hello. If you would like to please introduce yourself, and I'll be speaking to you straight after your presentation. So lots of luck.
Thank you very much, Mohsin, and of course, thank you, Transformers ED, for inviting EIG to this great event. So I'm Ariadna. I am part of the fashion and textiles team at Eco-Intelligent Growth. We are a circular economy consultancy. We are based in Barcelona. And well, today I would like you to learn a little bit more about how we work, which is under the principles of Cradle to Cradle. And for doing so, I will share my screen. Yeah, okay, so thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for joining in this little talk about circular economy and Cradle to Cradle. So as I was saying, I work at Eco-Intelligent Growth. We are a circular consultancy. We have worked with many companies from different sectors to transition towards circular models of business. And we are focused in particular in the built environment, the fashion and textiles, and the packaging sector. And yeah, we have helped over 150 companies since 2005 when we were founded. And we are also accredited assessors for the Cradle to Cradle Certified Products Program. We have indeed worked with many garment and fabric manufacturers, as well as chemical and trim suppliers that are based in Pakistan. And well, in this slide, you can see some of them we have been working with recently. So some of you might already know about Cradle to Cradle, but for those who are not so familiar with it, we can start from the beginning. So Cradle to Cradle was born as the vision that McDonough and Brungard had on circular design. And later on, this evolved into a product certification program, Cradle to Cradle Certified. It is currently a multi-attribute program that evaluates products and their manufacturing processes and works to optimize their positive impact on people and on the environment. It is based, as you can see in the bottom part of the screen, on 5 core categories that we will dive into in a minute, looking at how they align with the principles of the circular economy. So the circular economy principles, according to the 3 pillars defined by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, are the following. First, designing out waste and pollution, then keeping products and materials in use, and last but not least, regenerating natural systems. So the idea is that with this presentation, you can see how each of these pillars align with more than one of the core categories of Cradle to Cradle, that are the ones that are in little squares under each of the principles. So, okay, let's discuss each of the 3 pillars now. The first one, as I was saying, is designing products that are safe for everyone. This means people, of course, but also the environment and all living organisms within it. To set a quick example, on the left, we can see, so this is a quick example to see how things can be seen differently depending on which eyes we look at them with. So in the left, there's how humans can see a flower, right? But on the right, there's how bees can see them, because they are able to see, to perceive UV wavelengths. They can see these patterns that flowers have that humans cannot perceive. So this is exactly what happens with the clothes we wear daily. Apparently, in these 2 pictures, we can only see a dress, a pair of shoes, trousers, a pair of gloves. But if we look into these materials with ecotoxicologist's eyes, we will also see the effects this might have. And this can be persistence into the biosphere or bioaccumulation in tissues. Some can be endocrine disruptors, other can be carcinogenic or mutagenic or cause irritation. Okay, so then what do we do to ensure there's these healthy and non-toxic materials? So we need to look at the products into detail. We look into the full formulation of the garment. So for example, let's take this pair of jeans. On one hand, we look at the fabric. Okay, so we need to know what is the fiber used to make this fabric. Has it been applied any pesticides if it's a natural fiber? On the other hand, this pair of jeans also has some trims like buttons or zippers. So which is the material these are made of? And do they have any coating on them? And also all the dyes and other textile chemicals, such as the softeners or the sizing agents, etc. So basically what we do is to break it down into the tiniest pieces to get the full picture, okay? And this work, we need to do it with the supply chain. And this is the reason why transparency is key throughout the whole process. The manufacturer will probably have different suppliers for each of the parts, right? Who at the same time might have different suppliers, and this goes on and on. So this is the reason why it's essential that every stakeholder, every part of the manufacturing process is aware of what's contained in the product they are making. And how this translates into cradle-to-cradle principles. Well, cradle-to-cradle also pursues healthy materials through its first category, which is actually material health. As I was saying, the supply chain's collaboration is key, and so we like to involve them as partners in this process. We have bio-based products as the materials that we consider preferred, as long as they do not contain any additional toxic substances, such as pesticides or other preservatives. But mineral-based or synthetic formulations can also be optimal when they are compatible with the environment at which they are exposed during all phases. What does this mean? So for example, if the product's end-of-use phase can be incineration, which is a process when the release of toxic substances can happen, then we need to consider this scenario, and this would not be optimal anymore for all phases. And also the ideal healthy materials include as well regenerative practices. So regenerative agriculture on one side includes practices that allow ecosystems to restore and to become more resilient. So for example, by avoiding soil disturbance that can be caused by applying pesticides or by tilling the soil, by doing this, we optimize its CO2 absorbance from the atmosphere, which actually reverts the effects of greenhouse gas emissions. And in the case, on the other hand, of regenerative farming, it is essential to ensure animal welfare and the 5 animal freedoms. These will allow livestock to interact with the soil, helping to manage the land and providing with natural fertilizers, avoiding then the chemical fertilizers input. So as you can see, this is regenerative practices are a very holistic view of agriculture and farming. The second pillar then is focused on keeping materials in use. Once we know they are safe and they are not toxic, that we can circulate them, then we have to make sure that they are kept in use and kept in the loop. So here I wanted to point out something I think it's very important, because these are two terms that are being widely used today. And I would like to remark the difference between something that's recycled and something that's recyclable. So a recycled product is a product that is sourced from a non-virgin material, okay, that is made from something that otherwise would have been discarded, would have been converted into waste. But a recyclable product, on the other hand, is one for which we have the technology to collect and remanufacture into a new product. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it contains recycled materials. Okay, and as we are discussing some definitions and terms, I also wanted to point out the difference between the recycling economy and the circular economy. Well, first, there's the linear economy model that I think we all know of. It's the one where products are designed to be used once or for a short period of time, and then they become a waste. They go to landfills or they are incinerated, etc. I think that is pretty clear in this other slide here. So yeah, on the top of the slide, linear economy. Raw materials, we produce them, we use them, and then they go directly to waste. The recycling economy, on the contrary, tries to minimize the amount of waste by reusing it, by remanufacturing into new products. But what's the issue? That not all components of a product can be recycled, for example, because we may not be able to separate certain materials from others. This is very typical in fashion, where different fibers are combined into one garment, right? And For example, other materials maybe can be recycled for a certain number of times before they lose their properties and then they are not useful anymore. So this translates into still having raw materials as inputs and still producing waste. In a circular economy model, on the contrary, products are designed, and this is the key, they are designed to be kept in the loop. All their components can be recovered and transformed into something else, or I don't know, for example, for bio-based products, they can be also biodegraded, where nutrients would return to the ground. And so this is the only model that translates into abundance, because we cease using up raw materials as inputs, and of course, we stop producing waste. Cradle to Cradle, of course, addresses this pillar of the circular economy within the product circularity category, okay? Where not only products need to be designed to be circular and optimized to maximize their potential, but also they are required to be sourced from recycled or rapidly renewable sources that, of course, are also healthy, because we need to integrate all principles. We cannot forget about the previous pillar. When designing a product for further than its first use, we need to consider the different opportunities and strategies available to optimize its circularity. This means that it's essential that companies also make available all necessary information for this to happen, and that they take active part in this reality. So one common example would be implementing a take-back system in a clothing store and communicating this to the clients. And the third pillar, I think, has been maybe one of the most forgotten up until recently. It focuses on regenerating ecosystems. So regeneration is about going beyond reducing the negative impacts, beyond reducing emissions, for example, but actually reverting them, so having a positive impact. This pillar is related to material health, as we have seen in the beginning, because how we source our bio-based materials has an impact on the environment, but it also relates to other categories that we will see now. And one is clean air and climate protection. So carbon is a very hot topic these days, but not all carbon is bad, only if it's present in the wrong place, to put it simply. On the left of this picture, we see which we call fugitive carbon, and this is the one we want to eliminate, for example, by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But then we have the durable carbon, which is in the center of the image. And this is the one whose value we want to maximize. And how can we do that? By using clean and renewable energies, right? And then there's the living carbon, the one we want to promote and promote. By how can we do that? By using raw materials that are regenerative and that improve the soil's health, for example. Improving the soil health will make it able to capture more CO2 from the atmosphere and removing these greenhouse gas emissions from the atmosphere. All of this is taken into consideration in the clean air and climate protection category of Cradle to Cradle, as I was saying. But this also focuses on identifying the emissions that are associated to the manufacturing of the product and how they can be reduced. This third pillar, the regeneration pillar, is also considered in the water and soil stewardship category of Cradle to Cradle. This category works to ensure safe water bodies and soils by treating the processed water from the manufacturing process to provide a quality supply, but also to select in the first place healthy materials. As you see, again, related to the first pillar. So the second and the third cannot go without the first, and vice versa. So they are all very related. This category also focuses on specific materials that are considered key, and these would be the ones that have high water consumption requirements. For these key materials, companies need to have action plans. This category is also related to regeneration, of course, because since by having healthier water bodies and soils, we are promoting biodiversity and generating a positive impact as well. And the last of the categories is taken into consideration in all of three pillars, since we need to ensure the highest social standards when implementing all of them. Cradle to Cradle addresses this in the social fairness category. This is a category focused on protecting and promoting all workers involved in the process, in all the manufacturing process, and inspiring companies to promote a more diverse, fair, and attractive to all stakeholders labor culture. And so this is it for my presentation, this little overview. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this interesting. I believe we have some minutes left for Q&A now.
We have got some questions that have actually come through to me. Well, I have something quite interesting about Cradle to Cradle. I really think it's interesting that in nature, nature doesn't really produce waste. So that's what's amazing about it. And then when you think like that, you think, oh my God, then we should always be trying to produce any kind of product where, you know, it would go back into nature again. Obviously, that's the ultimate dream, and it is possible to do. But obviously, it's if you start thinking in that way, you can fundamentally completely change how you design every type of product. So yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
question that we got here is, how do you see big mass fashion retailers adapting more circular concepts? Obviously, there's so much greenwashing, so much of it from all these big companies saying that they are doing things, and half the time we know that they're not. So how can they be doing things, or how can smaller companies be doing things to become more in the line of like Cradle sort of Cradle?
Yeah, so I think of course everyone can take action, and every little action of course counts, but I think it's a really good thing because sometimes small companies or small retail manufacturers do not think that they have the power to change how products are designed or how they want to be produced. But actually, everyone has this power, but it's a really good thing that every day the biggest fashion companies and designers are taking part in these initiatives. So they are the ones that can push the most the manufacturers, the suppliers, to request how they want things to be done. It's true what you said, that there's a lot of greenwashing, there's a lot of labeling that maybe it's not accurate, but
misleading, right?
Yeah, exactly. Misleading, confusing, exactly. But it's true that every day more companies are getting involved in this. We are working with so many fashion manufacturers, but also brands that want to adopt circularity strategies. So yeah, I think that the change is starting to be made.
It is starting to, and I think that the younger generation of designers, you know, I've been a designer for 20 years since I graduated, and this topic was never even discussed when I was a student, you know. So it's like it's obviously like designers now, they have a lot more responsibility, a lot more pressure on them to be designing in a more sustainable way, and most of them, you know, I teach a lot, not many universities, and some of them are so creative, especially come to zero waste pattern cutting, to really coming up with really clever ways to try and tackle these sort of problems. But let's just see, there's one more question. I know there's some big brands already collecting used product from consumers. How does that work? Is there agreement between manufacturers and brands? How does it look for markets? Yeah, it's the agreement. It's more of government, worldwide. It's something. It's a policy that we have to force, and obviously like the UN SDGs are amazing, and they also help us towards that too. But any thoughts on sort of on that?
Yeah, this is what I was commenting on before. There are some companies and some groups that are starting to really make a path for this and developing really good strategies. But the big issue with the fashion industry in general is that most clothes are not made only from one fiber. For example, jeans, when they are not only made from cotton, but they also have elastane, this difficults a lot the recycling. There's a very small percentage of elastane that can be present in a pair of jeans for them to be recycled. And this, of course, is still a barrier and a difficulty we need to overcome. But for those that are entirely made of cotton, yeah, there are some manufacturers that have agreements with the brands, and the brands, for example, have take-back systems, and then bring these back for them to be recycled and to be reused and remake into a new product. But as I was saying, yeah, not everything can be recycled, and this is the issue. This is why we need to rethink design, and so that there's no waste, there's no yeah, so there's no materials left to go to waste, right?
I think it's all about, you know, we're going to be hearing from trim, like sort of manufacturers tomorrow, and how they're tackling the problems. Obviously, there's so many different components that go into every garment that we make. So yeah, it's just how easily can it be recycled? How easily can it be repurposed? Or, you know, those kind of elements are things that modern and younger designers, and even myself, are tackling now. And it's I think I thank you so much for your your presentation. It will definitely be played a lot, and many people are going to watch it. And thank you so much for your time as well today, and such last minute as well.
Thank you.
We managed to bring you in quite late, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting us.